And this, by the way, this is exactly why I never lost a case when testifying on behalf of my patients, because I also was able to share with the attorney that that it was a really weak case. And I showed him why and how, and that maybe he should consider just settling and moving on. But I also told him when he had a good, strong case and not the premature settle. An example like that is we had one client, he did all the documentation and it turns out he had a good case. Well, his attorney was wanting to settle for $15,000. And my clients kept showing him the 7 categories going, you got way more than a $15,000 case. You don't need to be settling for that. Well, he was able to convince the attorney through showing him this documentation and how it would play out. In other words, he was able to get the confidence of the attorney to stand up and fight. Because the attorney now had confidence in the doctor in all the documentation, and the doctor knew how to explain it if it needed to go to court. Well, that one simple case, and this is kind of common, to be honest with you, that one low-impact soft tissue spinal injury case, just because the attorney held out, went from $15,000 to $50,000 without going to court. Just because he held out and showed, and was able to show very specifically the strength of the case. That's what this is about. It's about fairness. It's not about blowing things out of proportion. It's about what do we really have, what do we not have, but it's because it's trained doctors in what's called high sensitivity, high relevancy documentation. And that's what the Car Injury Doctor Network providers do. That's what we are, Car Injury Doctor Network providers. It's doctors that have been trained throughout the United States, and that's what I do. I train doctors. I teach continuing legal education with personal injury. I teach chiropractic education, medical doctor education, continuing education on the documentation and the testimony and trial testimony of personal injury cases. That's what I do. And so that's what the Car Injury Doctors Network providers do. And so let's go ahead and get started with, and that is the statistics. So if you're not paying attention to the low impact soft tissue spinal injury and you don't have a doctor that has been trained in the documentation of low impact soft tissue spinal injuries, that's when you're going to be commonly getting less than a 2-to-1 injury award. And like I said, when you do have a much more catastrophic problem, and I'll share this example with you. This is Dr. Joe in California. Of course, he explained to his attorneys, how all this works, how the categories come together, etc., how it's found. And so they had this one case, and this turned out to be a severe case. This injury resulted in surgery, disc bulges, MRIs, and ended up being surgery and spinal fusion. Well, the attorney had my client, the chiropractor. So he didn't ask the neurosurgeon or the orthopedic surgeon. He didn't ask them to be the witness or to be able to explain it and put it all together. He asked my client, the chiropractor, because he knew all of these categories and how to put them all together. So he took that case, my client, the chiropractor, who knows all these categories, he took it to it was like a $2.5 million case based on his testimony. And so he knew how to get the documentation from all the different categories, put it together, and explain it. That's how it works. So that's what we're getting ready to go through right now.